everyone, and welcome to Financial Minds Meet the Experts. I'm your host, Jaime Agostino. As you know, on this podcast, we're joined by financial industry experts to talk about topics, trends, and themes that credit union professionals need to know about. Joining me today is Fred Eisel, the president and CEO of Vizo Financial. Welcome, Fred, and thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Jamie. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
All right. Well, Fred, in case there's anyone out there that doesn't know you, would you mind sharing just a little bit about yourself?
Sure, not a problem whatsoever. I think most people probably know my history, but born and raised in Altoona, Pennsylvania, in a little small railroad town, as was my wife, Tracy, who we've been married for 32 years. Grew up in Altoona, went to Penn State, graduated in a degree in economics. And of course, once you graduate from Penn State, you typically don't go back to Altoona, which we didn't. Moved to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and got a job at Mid-Atlantic Corporate back in '93 as an MSR. Started as an MSR back at that time. During that time, went back for my master's degree at Lebanon Valley College, and also had 3 children who are all now grown, adult children. They all live down here in Charlotte, North Carolina. In 2000, my wife and I decided to move to North Carolina as well. At that point, for a different opportunity, ended up working for First Carolina Corporate as a chief investment officer with David Brehmer, who just recently retired as CEO here at Vizo. So been in North Carolina for 24 years. Again, we had our children in Pennsylvania, but moved down here when our daughter was in first grade. So they pretty much grew up in North Carolina. We've been in North Carolina ever since. And so chief investment officer for the corporate for many, many years. Big Penn State fan, huge Pittsburgh fan of all sorts, Pirates, Penguins, Steelers, avid golfer. It's kind of my hobby. That's what I do. And my wife and I truly love to try to visit as many national parks as possible when we go on vacation. So based in North Carolina, Greensboro, North Carolina, headquarters of Vizo. We actually live in Charlotte, just moved to Charlotte recently to be closer to the 3 kids. So that's kind of my path over the number of years that I've been in the corporate industry.
All right. Well, thank you. And I know you're fingers crossed someday, near future, some grandkids, hopefully.
Well, they're working on it, apparently. Some are working on it, apparently. We'll see.
So that'll be a future achievement.
Yes, that's why we're here. That's why we're here. We'll see.
All right. So you've been president CEO for almost a year at Vizo Financial. Prior to that, you served as the chief investment officer. What excites you most about taking on this role?
Well, one, the role similar in a way to the chief investment officer role, where in chief investment officer role, I was obviously managing the investment portfolio and a focus on the balance sheet, but had a lot of exposure to our members and our credit unions, which I really liked quite a bit, whether it's just meeting with them one-on-one, doing economic presentations, a lot of education we provided, just having that exposure to the credit unions I loved quite a bit. Obviously in this role, same thing, exposed to all of our members, really want to be in front of the members, whether it's at educational sessions we're providing, conferences at association or leagues or anything like that, GAC, or just one-on-one meetings, which we've had. I just really love the engagement with the credit unions. But 2, in this role, obviously, it's a bigger expansion of what I need to be responsible for and strategic vision of the corporate, where before, as the investment officer, it was pretty much focused on the balance sheet, obviously, and I was in touch with the other parts of the corporate, whether it's the risk management side, technology side, compliance, but really didn't do much with those areas given my role as a chief investment officer. So in my current seat as CEO, it's kind of interesting and excited about having exposure to all those areas within the corporate. And talking to all of our staff members within the corporate, and then, of course, trying to provide strategic vision and guidance to the corporate going forward to be as big of a value to our members and our cranes as much as possible. So I'm excited to kind of, in the past year, learn more about some of these areas I didn't really get exposed to much before, and it's been very exciting.
All right. Well, with that, have there been any challenges making the transition? What have you learned in your new role?
Transition's actually been quite smooth, amazingly. And I think a big part of that was with the corporate for 20 some years, 24 years down here. And as I said, I started at Mid-Atlantic in the 90s. So really it's been my whole corporate career. I am the case study of do not ever burn a bridge career-wise, because I left Mid-Atlantic in 2000. Who knew that in 2016, First Carolina at the time would merge back into Mid-Atlantic. So a lot of the folks I worked with back in the 90s, working with today. So the transition was very smooth because of that, I think. One, I knew a lot of the folks around the corporate. Knew a lot of our credit unions and our members from my past in Pennsylvania, and of course my exposure as a chief investment officer. So the transition's been going smooth, has been great with the members. They've been very great with their words of encouragement. The biggest piece has been the transition with staff has been excellent. Once again, the staff kind of knew who I was and been very welcome with staff in my new role. Probably more importantly, the senior staff that I was a coworker, I was a colleague. And so you're working alongside these folks for such a long time, and all of a sudden I'm now their boss. It's kind of an interesting dynamic, but I've got to say they've been extremely professional from day one, and that transition has been extremely smooth as well. And lastly, the board. It's just a different dynamic there as well, where Jay and David have been CEOs of the company for a long, long time. And now all of a sudden you got a new leader, and myself that I've been with the company, with the corporate for a long time, but as a new CEO, different than it's been for many, many years. So kind of a unique dynamic. At the same time, the board knew that, knew me, and they've been very welcoming, and the transition's been extremely smooth on that side as well. So transition's been smooth, and thanks to everyone as part of that process. Like you said, it's been a year almost. It's kind of hard to believe. What I've learned, which I already kind of knew going in, but like I said, I wasn't exposed to a ton of the staff at the corporate, some here and there, but really focused on the financial side of the house. What I've learned over the last year, being exposed to all the departments and areas that we focus on at the corporate, is, again, already knew this, but what I've really cemented to me is we have an incredible staff, absolutely incredible staff, and how much passion they have of what they do every day, no matter what they do, whether it's marketing, investments, risk, compliance, technology. The passion they have for their day-to-day work, the passion they have for what they're doing, with the purpose of what they're doing is helping our credit unions and our members. We have incredible amount of talent and expertise in our staff in all shapes and sizes of departments. So it's just exceptional service they're trying to provide to the credit union. It's just very impressive to me. We have an incredible culture. We are Gallup Strength Finder, focus on the Gallup Strength Finder side with regard to culture. We do that quite a bit with strength service hours and a lot of different group gatherings throughout the month. We do our annual Q12 Gallup survey. The last 2 years, we've been awarded the Exceptional Workplace Award through Gallup. It just highlights the staff and the culture that we have here at the corporate's just top notch. When we have a new employee that's hired and onboarded from a bank or some other industry, whether they've been here a week or 2-3 years, we kind of follow up and say, how's things going? Is the onboarding okay? Have you been integrated well? And it just comes back to the culture here is just absolutely top notch. And so it's just a reflection of the staff we have here, which, again, I knew that, but in the seat today, again, I'm exposed to all the staff members and all the departments, just highlights that our staff at many levels are just high level experts, care about what they do. And that culture that we have internally shows up with our membership. So my thinking is, if we have a great culture and employees are happy and have empowerment to do what they want to do, that's going to show in our member service and our member service to our credit union members and all credit unions that we're working with. And we see that with our member surveys. We just kind of finalize each one each year. Last year was our highest rating ever. So all that internal support and talent we have internally with our staff shows in our member surveys. Our members see it. They tell us they love it. So just reinforce the fact what I knew going in. Staff here is just absolutely incredible, and that's a huge value to our credit unions.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you feel has been Vizo Financial's greatest accomplishment in 2024 under your leadership?
Well, I wouldn't say it's specifically because of my leadership, but in 2024, I think we haven't finished out yet, but in 2024, we're on pace to have our strongest earnings year ever. And that's been helped, again, not maybe specifically for me, because of me, helped because of higher liquidity levels, the yield curve such that rates are higher, a lot of things that are out of my control But we did go into 2024 with a well-balanced and structured balance sheet. We are focused on continuing to build capital, although we are in the best capital position we've ever been in as a corporate in our history. And so while we will continue to build capital, we're going to focus on how do we give back more to our members and our credit unions, whether that's giving them back money, higher dividends, or reinvest in the corporate. But what we introduced late last year, was our member incentive credit. We're going to do this again every year, and based on how our earnings are for the year, how much we'll give back and pay back to our credit union members that have used us as much as possible. And so introducing that last year was a huge benefit. Our members loved it. This year, going to do it again. They're projecting right now to pay even more back based on a very strong earnings year in 2024. So that's very exciting. So that's just a great accomplishment for me and for the staff to be able to give more back to the credit union members who utilize us, to encourage them to use us more. That's going to be a huge benefit for the credit unions, while still also building quite a bit of capital, which is quite nice. We've also this year had a number of large credit unions come back as members back into the fold, which I'm very proud of. There was a number of credit unions post-financial crisis that didn't recapitalize the corporate and weren't technically a full member. PCC member. But this year we've added, and I can't at the top of my head, probably 6 to 7 large credit unions that we've had to come back into the fold as a full-blown member of the corporate, because they do see the value for the corporate, for all the things that we do for them. And again, the capital strength and the balance sheet positioning, the talent and expertise we have, the education we provide, all of those things, plus other things I'm probably not even mentioning, the credit unions are seeing that as a value. And so we're starting to see more and more credit unions come back in as members, and they have a voice. They can run for the board. It's just a huge value for them, but they see the value of ownership in the corporate. In 2025, we just finished our strategic plan for 2025. So and this year we kind of did it a little differently. We used an outside consultant, and the plan, I think, has more of a forward-looking plan than years past, where we're kind of looking out more 3 to 5 years of where we should be as a corporate. We kind of listened to our members the first part of this year. We're in good capital position. We provide a lot of products and services, but where's the value for the corporate to the credit union? Is it giving all the money back in dividends, giving away free services? What is it? And our members have said, no, it's not free. It's you can charge for products and services. That's fine. Pay good rates, but put money back into the corporate and create more of a value of the corporate with regard to people, products and services you're offering. There's a value already. Keep expanding the value on that. So one of the things we heard from our credit union members this year, 2 things. One, risk and compliance, major challenge with regard to resources, and that's not going to go away. Cybersecurity and all that type of stuff still top of mind for most credit unions, and it's just going to become more challenging as we go forward. So in 2025, we're going to expand the risk management solutions we offer to our credit unions, so we'll see more of that. But we also heard our members say, look, data and AI, it's obviously the buzzword. But the big thing wasn't AI, it was data. We have a ton of data. We don't have the resources to kind of utilize much of it, don't really know how to look at it, how to spin it, what do we do with it? We need help there. And we kept hearing the same thing. And while we were talking internally, at our executive level, at the board level, as well as strategic planning, it kept coming back to, we have a value if we provide some type of data analytics or AI type of solution for our members. And so we partnered with Vertus AI here late this year, and going into 2025 will be another big partnership where we do have a solution that's great for all credit unions, even if you're smaller and don't have the resources. Great model for that. If you're larger and you do have a data scientist or data analyst still, the Vertus AI model is a great tool to kind of go into the AI data space and look at your membership. A lot of credit unions are trying to grow members, trying to go outside of their membership. This tool allows you to look at your current members you have and get them to have a deeper relationship with the credit union, which is huge. And all credit unions can do that. So it's exciting for 2025. We've had a great 2024. It really allowed us to really jumpstart and kind of look going forward into 2025 to offer some new products and services, also expand our brand, As you know, we're going to look to go more national with regard to Vizo Financial, all these products and services and solutions and expertise we have on staff. I think there's a value for a lot of cranes throughout the country that may not be getting it elsewhere. So we're going to kind of have a little bit more of a national footprint or start that process next year as well.
All right. Well, I want to ask you, a few questions just a little bit to get to know you just a little bit better. So, how would you describe your leadership style and how that's evolved throughout your career?
I don't know if it's evolved. I've always kind of been I don't know if you call it a servant leader, where, I want to be hands off. I want to empower the employee that works for me to, have the tools that they have, make sure they have the tools that they need, make sure their opinions count, give them free reign to kind of figure it out, learn, even make a mistake or two, and just be there for guidance, strategic guidance, insight, mentoring, whatever you may call it. That really hasn't changed, and I feel the same here today in my current role, as I've always felt. Is as I said earlier, we've got an incredible amount of talented people here with a ton of expertise. So I don't need to train them or guide them or daily, micromanage them. I just need to give them some room to grow and figure out things. And if they need help with, strategic insight, or where's the corporate going strategically? Does this make any sense? That makes the most sense for me. And that leadership style is kind of always the way I've been, and still is today. Very humble, hopefully. I've heard, and I hope it's where the employee's not afraid to come to me and ask for anything. Call, email, chat, pull me aside at a meeting and just talk to me. I may have a fancy title, but I'm just I'm just the employee of the corporate. Very humble. Like I said, I came, like everyone else, kind of grew through up the corporate, through the company, got my experience. So I'm very humbled in where I've been and where I'm at today, and don't take that for granted, and appreciate the talent and the people and the diversity we have on staff. And I want to let that continue to expand and grow, and then need me for whatever they need me for there, but not to really step on anyone's toes and try to micromanage that. Let them, empower them to do what they need to do and be there for their support.
All right. Well, based on that, what is your approach to decision making, and how do you motivate and empower those employees?
I think the motivation comes from, like I said, just allowing them the freedom to make the decision and the freedom to make the mistake. I've seen this over the last year when we have some meetings and discussions like, well, we did this before, and, I don't. It's fine if you did it before, and it's fine if you did it before and didn't work. If we do it again, it's fine. You have my support. If strategically we've agreed internally and with the board to go a certain direction, I want to empower the employee to go with it, go strategically, and not be afraid to fail, not be afraid to have to change direction because of what has happened in the past. We did this before and it failed and wasn't looked upon greatly, had some doesn't matter. We've all agreed strategically this is the direction we want to go.
Mhm.
Don't think about being afraid to fail on it. Let's be successful. At the same time, if you've got a plan for the next 3 years to do something, offer a product or solution or go a certain direction, also be open that, in year 2, we may have to shift gears a little bit or change direction. It's great to have a plan, but in 3 years or 5 years, you're going to be following that plan exactly to the T, hopefully. But over time, you're going to learn more. You're going to probably change direction and make some different decisions, and just letting people and have that comfort to let them make those decisions and not be over their shoulder and say, hey, why are you changing this? Why are you doing this? Hey, this isn't working. Let them have a comfort that they not just fail, but may be able to make decisions to change direction, which just makes it stronger for the employee to have that comfort level and know they have my support, and be able to make better decisions is a huge part of management for me. And again, that's where I back up. I don't micromanage, and give them the support that, hey, strategically, so where we want to be. So we'll agree to go with it. We'll figure it out later if we've got to change direction.
Yeah, yeah. There are often times you have to pivot or make mid-course corrections, and to do
Yeah.
that, to still achieve that goal. So
Yeah,
that's awesome.
exactly.
You empower them to do so. Um, you know, I hear from a lot of, I participate in a lot of young professional networks. And so for those people that are interested in becoming leaders at their credit union, what advice would you give them as they prepare themselves for those roles and added responsibilities?
Yeah, good question. It's, I guess I'd say anything's possible. It depends on what you want. You hear that a lot, but I'm a perfect example of started as an MSR in 1993. This is before internet, right? So we're answering phone calls, we're doing share-to-share transfers, we're writing up vouchers, we're posting vouchers. You're in it, but you learn a lot. And so never envisioned sitting in this chair today, 30 some years later. And it's a long pathway, but I think it's needed. And I think for some younger leaders, as you hear a lot, is folks come out of college, have a couple years experience, and they want to be the leader. They want to be the boss. I'm like, and that could be the case. I guess my message is anything's possible. One, give it time. You need, and we tell this to our kids all the time. You got 2 or 3 years experience, you got a college degree. That's great, but you need experience. You need growth and depth on your resume, things you learn, people you meet, just different experiences. So, just don't be afraid to do what's needed to grow in that path. So if you figure out your path, where it's risk compliance, it's an IT, it's an investments, or if you want to be the future leader of the company, whatever that path looks like, understand that it may require more certifications. It may require additional education, additional skill set. Maybe, as you become a leader, you're going to present more and talk to people more. So if that's not a strength, it's something you may need to work on with public speaking and presenting. If you're going a certain path and you're going to need, you're an IT tech person, but you want to run the company, so you're going to need to understand more of the financial side. You may need to go get some certification, additional education, or just learning as much as possible on your own, the financial side, so you understand all of that. Find a mentor, somebody that's been in the industry for a while, to kind of give you guidance on what path to take, decisions to make, education to take. Get as involved as much as possible, not only in the credit union side, and learning internally what that path is, but then try to get as much exposure as you can externally, if the credit union allows that, to go to different conferences, meet different people, learn and get to meet people that are outside of your world. So if you're in a credit union space, it can't just be just credit unions. Maybe it's in the banking side. Understand who your auditors are, who your regulators are. All the people that play in that space, the more people get that experience and talk to people, it's a huge part of building that resume. Besides, I got a degree, I got a master's degree, I got these certifications. Growth and development is also talking to people, learning outside of your footprint. And if you can have a mentor to help you through that, that's a huge piece of it. And it will take time. Some will move quicker than others through the leadership ranks, depending on where they're at. But patience is a big thing that, typically, I'm not saying it couldn't happen, but you're not going to be the leader of the organization at 25 or 26, most likely. You'll get there. It's going to take some time.
Yeah. And that is the challenge, patience.
Yes, yes. It's hard for a younger person to accept the fact and say, yeah. And we tell that to the kids, like, well, this is where you're at, Dad. But yeah, Dad's been working for 30 plus years. So it takes some time, and to build that resume deeply, if you truly want to be in a leadership role. And it doesn't have to always be CEO. It could be a senior VP, a VP, whatever the leadership you want to get to. Sometimes it takes some time, because it takes not just the education side, it takes time to learn the skill, but also learn the organization, learn the industry. It just takes time.
Yeah. I know you kind of mentioned some of the things that are on the horizon for Vizo Financial in 2025. What are your key goals for Vizo Financial in the next year, 5 years?
Key goals for us is continue to do what we're doing as a corporate, and what we were created to do from the start, which we've been doing for a long time very well, is our 3 pillars that we have. Money management. Mm-hmm. We want to continue to be a leader in money management with a strong overnight money management account. We have a flex account that has a great rate. So it's better than what you could have at the Fed. For credit unions that are listening, they're not a member, that if you're joined another corporate, if you look at a lot of corporates out there, they tier their rates. And so for the smaller credit union, for the smaller amount, they just don't get paid very well. For us at Vizo, we have never tiered our rates. So one rate gets paid no matter how big or small you are as a credit union. So if you're small and you got $50 in your flex account, or you got 50 million, you're all getting paid the same rate. So being a leader there with a strong overnight account rate, with a corporate that's got very strong capital, and a very strong balance sheet, so you don't have to worry about the corporate financial situation anymore. We're an independent corporate now; we're not tied to anyone else, so the balance sheet's strong, so it gives you comfort with that overnight money. All the liquidity solution, the investment solutions too, that we've always had, Vizo CDs, simplicities, bond sales. We've always had that ability to help manage your investment portfolio and your balance sheet with those tools. That's always been the case. We want to continue to do that. Same on the liquidity side. That's what we do. That's what we've been as a corporate, as a liquidity provider. So that hasn't changed either. Line of credit, accessibility, the ease of use of that, and other liquidity solutions like Loan Street, loan participation, issuing through Simply CD, selling bonds if you have an investment portfolio. So the money management pillar we've had forever, continue to be a core thing that we do. We will continue to do that. Payments pillar, same thing. We're still doing payments quite a bit. Payments are changing and evolving. We're not doing as many check processing. We're not doing as many wires. It's kind of moving towards the FedNow world and RTP, but that's also a core product we've always had. That's an area we want to stay focused on going forward. And lastly, on kind of core, what we do is education. That's our last pillar. We do a lot of education, a lot of things like this via webinar, a lot of webinars, mostly free. We do a lot of one-day workshops on a variety of topics. We have two big conferences each year, our risk management conference in the spring in April. It's a 2-3 day conference in person, which is a great value. Our financial conference, same thing, 2 to 3 day conference in the fall. Also a huge value for the price. I think and you may know this, I think there's probably over 80, almost 90 CPE credit offerings this year, I think, and continue to try to expand that. And even if it's not a CPE offered education, a lot of this education is done by us internally, and the member and the crane will see the expertise we have on staff is absolutely incredible. So for the future, continue to do what we have always done really, really well and not forget what that is. That's key for us. But as I said earlier, we do need to look to the future of what the corporate looks like going forward. Like I said, with payments is changing. Payments are changing, and it's become more electronic and instant payment, and we're focusing on FedNow and RTP and moving in that direction. Data is a huge thing, and same thing. We got to look at other areas where we can help the credit unions, and they've come to us and said, hey, data is a thing. Data is a thing that we want to work on. We don't have the resources for it. Is that something corporate can help? So again, as we partner with Vertus AI on the data side, that's just one tool. We're going to continue to look at other tools we can implement and offer to our cranes on the data AI side, because we think that's the future. Risk solutions. In the past, we offered risk solutions a little bit, and we kind of pulled that back in many years ago. But again, risks management and all shapes and sizes continuing to be a big area of focus for our credit unions. They struggle with that because of lack of resources. We're going to expand on that going forward in the years to come. With regard to cybersecurity, social engineering, things like that, we have really engaged and dedicated partners, and we want to kind of expand what we're doing for our credit unions so they can be stronger in that area. And again, lastly, as mentioned earlier, Vizo's kind of been on our footprint here on the East Coast. We have a story to tell. We have, as I said, incredible good rates, very strong rates for everyone, small and large credit unions, incredible educational opportunities, a lot of them for free, and if they're not free, very inexpensive, CPE value for those that need to CPE, and it just really highlights the culture we have, the talent of people that we have, the expertise that we have that I mentioned from the start. It's a huge value that our members have seen. As I said earlier, we have some larger cranes have come back into the fold as members because they see that as a value. We want to expand our footprint outside of kind of the East Coast and really showcase who we are as Vizo outside of that, and really be of value to all credit unions.
All right. Well, Fred, thank you so much for joining me today. Really appreciate you sharing a little bit about, the future of Vizo, as well as about yourself and your leadership. So thank you. Any final thoughts for our listeners?
Thank you very much for having me today. And again, thank you for our credit unions and our members for all the support, again, for the transition into this position, but all the ongoing support you've had for Vizo Financial over the years. Look forward to working with all of everyone in the years to come, and excited about what the corporate's going to have to offer going forward to provide credit unions a value and allow them to grow and be successful in the future. But thank you.
Thank you. And this episode of Financial Minds Meet the Experts is brought to you by Vertus AI. Personalized member engagement can be costly. There's no doubt about it, but it doesn't have to be, especially if you have the data at your fingertips that can tell you which of your members are most likely to be interested in a specific product offering based on their demographics or financial behaviors. And with Vizo Financial's new partnership with Vertus AI, you can. Vertus AI is the leading provider of member growth and marketing effectiveness solutions for credit unions. Their solution offers your financial institution a growth engine that provides AI-based personalization recommendations to grow economic participation and reduce churn. Visit Vizo Financial's website at www.vfccu.org to learn more about this new IA offering with Vertus AI. Thank you so much. As always, make it a great day.